Imagine this, the world's biggest rapper. The man who can sell out arenas in seconds. The artist who practically lives at the top of the charts, Drake walking into a luxury hotel expecting red carpets, champagne, and fanfare. Only to be met with the exact opposite. Instead of cheers, he's drowned in booze. Instead of security protecting him, staff are escorting him out. And instead of lavish treatment, he's allegedly scammed out of thousands right under his nose. Yes, you heard that right, Drake. The Six God himself was publicly humiliated and kicked out of a high-end hotel by none other than furious Kendrick Lamar fans who were waiting to make a statement. And what followed was nothing short of reality TV-level chaos. People were screaming, tensions were boiling over, and the hotel lobby became the stage for a showdown nobody saw coming. Was this about the ongoing rap beef? Was it a setup? Or was it something far deeper than just music? Tonight, we're diving into every jaw-dropping detail of how Drake's night went from VIP luxury to total disaster, and trust me, you won't believe the shocking twists that come next. This isn't just dramas, a full-blown scandal. That night started like any other star-studded evening for Drake. Cameras flashing, fans whispering, paparazzi hiding in corners, waiting for a glimpse of the man himself. He had just finished a private dinner with his inner circle, grinning ear to ear, sipping expensive champagne, and talking about how unstoppable he felt. But what he didn't know was that just a few blocks away, a storm was brewing, one that had his name written all over it. The whispers weren't about his music this time. They were about his ongoing feud with Kendrick Lamar. And this feud had grown way beyond diss tracks and clever bars. This was personal now, and the city knew it. When Drake's convoy pulled up to the Grand Aurora Hotel, it's a kind of place dripping with luxury and exclusivity. He expected the usual, adoring fans snapping photos, staff rushing to open doors, and managers treating him like royalty. But as soon as he stepped out of the car, something felt off. Instead of cheers, there was a low murmur, an almost chilling silence, broken only by a few scattered boos that quickly grew louder. "Joe, is that him? Nah, we don't want you here," one voice shouted. Within seconds, a group of people started chanting Kendrick's name, their voices echoing against the marble walls of the hotel entrance. Drake tried to brush it off with a smirk, pulling up his collar and walking straight in, but deep down, he felt the sting. His crew exchanged worried glances. Chubbs leaned in and muttered, "Man, this ain't normal. They're really out here for you." Drake shrugged, trying to look unfazed, but his eyes darted around the lobby like he was searching for an escape route. Inside the hotel, things didn't get any better. The manager, usually eager to roll out the red carpet, seemed strangely cold. Instead of welcoming Drake with his usual warmth, he simply handed over the key cards like it was a routine check-in for some random guest. "We hope you enjoy your stay," he said flatly, avoiding eye contact. Drake raised an eyebrow, sensing something was wrong, and then it happened. As Drake walked toward the elevators, a wave of boos echoed from the lobby entrance again. This time, it wasn't just a handful of voices, it was dozens of Kendrick fans who had somehow made their way inside. They were holding up homemade signs, chanting and pointing directly at him. "You don't belong here. Go back to Toronto. Kendrick forever." The shouts grew louder, and for the first time, the unshakable Drake looked rattled. One fan, a young woman with tears in her eyes, screamed, "You disrespected the wrong man, and we're not letting you get away with it." Another threw a crumpled piece of paper at his feet. Drake paused, his jaw tightening, and muttered under his breath, "Yo, this is crazy." His bodyguards immediately closed in around him, but the damage was already done. The image of Drake, standing in the middle of a luxury hotel lobby, being booed and taunted by fans, was unforgettable. What made it worse was the reaction of the hotel staff. Instead of stepping in to calm the situation, they stood back, whispering among themselves. some even smirking as if they were enjoying the spectacle. Drake noticed it. His eyes narrowed as he locked onto one staff member who quickly looked away, pretending to be busy. This place supposed to be top tier. Drake snapped, loud enough for his entourage to hear. And they just letting this happen? But things were about to escalate even further. As Drake finally made it to the elevator and the doors began to close, a fan shoved their arm in and stopped it. "You think you can run from this?" The fan sneered. "Kendrick got you shook, and now you're out here hiding in hotels." Before the bodyguards could react, the fan was dragged away by security. But the seed had been planted. Drake's humiliation wasn't going to end here. When Drake finally reached his suite, his frustration boiled over. He threw his jacket onto the couch and paced the room. "I can't believe this, man. They booed me in a hotel lobby. A hotel lobby. I don't pay thousands a night to get treated like that." Chubbs tried to calm him down. "Look, it's just fans. They're hyped. Up over the beef, it'll blow over." But Drake wasn't convinced. "Nah, this feels different. The staff didn't even try to help. Something's up." And Drake was right. Because within hours, another blow would land, one that would shake him even more. While he was still seething, in his suite, one of his assistants got a call from the hotel billing office. "There seems to be an issue with your reservation," the voice said smoothly. "We'll need an additional deposit of $50,000 before we can process everything." At first, the assistant thought it was routine after all. Drake was used to extravagant charges. But something felt off about the tone. When Drake overheard the amount, his eyes widened. $50K. "I've stayed here before. They never asked for that." Reluctantly, and in a bid to avoid further embarrassment, the assistant transferred the money. But hours later, it became clear they had been scammed. The call wasn't from the hotel billing. Office at All-It was an elaborate setup, a scheme orchestrated by someone who knew Drake was vulnerable that night. When Drake found out, he exploded. "You telling me we just handed over 50 grand to some random scammer? In this hotel? Man, this is disrespect at the highest level." The room was tense. Drake's crew sat in silence as he ranted, his voice echoing through the lavish suite. "First, Kendrick fans boo me out the lobby, and now this. This ain't coincidence. Somebody's plotting on me." His mind raced, paranoia creeping in. He even started suspecting the hotel staff were in on it, pointing out how cold they'd been since his arrival. And then came the final insult of the night, a knock at the door. When the bodyguard opened it, a hotel manager stood there with a forced smile. "Mr. Graham, we've had multiple complaints from guests about noise and disruption. I'm afraid we'll have to ask you to leave." Room fell silent. Drake's mouth dropped open in disbelief. "Kicking me out? Me?" He stepped closer, his voice trembling with rage. "After everything I paid, after what just went down in your lobby, you gonna kick me out?" The manager avoided eye contact, repeating the same line. "I'm afraid you'll have to leave." Chubbs jumped in. "Yo, this is insane. You can't treat him like this." But the manager didn't budge. Drake stared at him for a long moment, his fists clenched, his pride shattered. "You think this is over?" he muttered, his voice low and venomous. "This ain't over. Not by a long shot." As Drake gathered his things, his entourage scrambling in disbelief, the boos from the lobby were still ringing in his ears. Fans had gathered again, ready to watch him walk out, humiliated. Flashes from cameras lit up the night as Drake was escorted out of the hotel, his head down, his fury barely contained. What Drake didn't know was that this was just the beginning. The booze, the scam, the humiliation, everything was part of a much bigger storm about to erupt. And while he tried to convince himself it was just bad luck, deep down, he knew there was more to it. Much more, and as his car pulled away from the hotel, chased by gears and laughter, Drake made a vow under his breath. "I'll remember every face I saw tonight. But what waited for him the next day would make this disaster look like child's play. Because Kendrick's fans weren't done. Not even close. As the black SUV carrying Drake and his crew sped away from the Grand Aurora Hotel, the city lights flickering across his face, the silence inside the car was deafening. Nobody dared to speak. Drake sat in the corner seat, hood pulled over his head, staring out the window, replaying every second of humiliation he had just endured. The boos, the chants, the signs, waving Kendrick forever right in his face, it all nodded him. He wasn't used to this. He was Drake, the golden boy, the artist who built an empire on hits and charisma. And yet tonight, he felt stripped of all of it. Finally, he broke the silence. They think I'm weak, huh? They think they can just boo me out a hotel and scam me like I'm some rookie. Nah, they got me messed up. His voice cracked with anger, but underneath was something deeper hurt. His pride had been wounded in a way no diss track ever could. Chubbs leaned forward, his tone calm but serious. Bro, we gotta be smart about this. Whoever set this up, they knew exactly where you'd be. This wasn't random. That hit Drake hard. Thought of betrayal crept into his mind. Someone from the inside must have tipped off the fans, maybe even the scammers. You saying there's a mole? He asked sharply. His eyes darted around the car, briefly resting on each face in his entourage. The room got colder, the tension sharper. His assistant shifted uncomfortably. Look, I don't know, man, but the way the staff acted, the timing of that scam call, feels like a setup. As they pulled up to a private residence where they'd crashed for the night, the crew barely had time to settle before the drama followed them again. Within minutes, social media exploded. Clips of Drake being booed in the hotel lobby were already going viral. Fans were reposting with captions like, "Kendrick already won, and this man can't even check in without catching smoke." The hashtag Drake kicked out started trending within an hour. Drake scrolled through the comments in disbelief. "Look at this," he snapped, shoving his phone toward Chubbs. "They acting like I begged to leave? Like I ain't paid for that room." His voice rose, anger mixing with desperation. "They twisting the whole thing?" Chubbs shook his head. "You can't feed into it, man. It's what they want. Let it blow over." But Drake wasn't listening. He was pacing the living room, phone in hand, muttering under his breath. "Nah, this is war now. They crossed a line." But just as he was working himself up, another blow landed. A notification pinged an article from a major gossip site. The headline read, "Drake booed and booted. Kendrick fans take over luxury hotel." The article painted Drake as arrogant, claiming he disrespected staff and provoked the fans. Worse, it quoted an anonymous source saying Drake had been out of control, yelling at employees and demanding special treatment. Drake's jaw dropped. "What? I didn't even know they lying straight up." He threw the phone onto the couch. "Anonymous source? Who? Who out here lying on my name?" His assistant nervously added, "Bro, what if it was the staff? What if they leaked this whole thing?" The thought made Drake's blood boil. So first they let me get booed. Then they scam me, and now they selling fake stories to the press. This city's trying to clown me. Motions ran high as Drake's inner circle started debating what to do. Some said go public, make a statement, clear his name, okay? Others argued staying quiet would make the scandal die faster. Drake wasn't hearing it. Nah, I ain't sitting quiet. If they want to make me the villain, fine, I'll give them a villain. Yet before he could even plan his next move, the drama escalated again. The very next morning, the video of Drake leaving the hotel under booze had been remixed by Kendrick fans online. Someone edited it with one of Kendrick's tracks playing in the background, syncing the chants to the beat. It blew up instantly. Millions of views in hours. Comments flooded in. Kendrick fans undefeated. Drake can't walk in peace. This is legendary. Drake watched it play out, fists clenched, his crew too afraid to speak. The remix wasn't just a joke, it was an embarrassment on a global stage. "They trying to turn my pain into their soundtrack," he said bitterly, and then came the twist nobody expected. While Drake stewed in anger, one of his closest guys, a longtime friend who had been with him since the early days, got a DM on Instagram. It was from someone claiming to know exactly who scammed Drake. The message read, "You looking for answers? Check who booked the suite under his name. Not everyone on your team is loyal." The room froze when the message was read aloud. Suspicion immediately shifted inward. Drake's eyes darted from face to face, the paranoia building like a storm. "Which one of y'all sold me out?" he demanded. Nobody spoke. CHUBBs tried to intervene. "Yo, we don't even know if that DM's real. It could just be someone stirring the pot." But Drake wasn't hearing it. His trust was shattered. Nah, somebody in here feeding them info. How else would they know exactly where I was, what room I had, and hit me with that scam call at the same time? One of the younger assistants raised his voice, desperate to defend himself. "I ain't do nothing, man. Been loyal since day one." But his outburst only made the tension worse. Drake stepped up close, pointing a finger in his face. "Then prove it. Prove you ain't the one." The argument escalated quickly, voices overlapping, accusations flying. Some of the crews started taking sides, whispers turning into shouts. "It's been acting shady for weeks," one said. "Nah, it's probably someone else. Look at how quiet he's being." Another shot back. The family-like bond that once held Drake's inner circle together was cracking under pressure. All because of one humiliating night. Fans outside were celebrating their victory, while inside, Drake's camp was falling apart as the shouting match reached its peak. Drake slammed his hand on the table. "Enough!" The room fell silent. His face was red with fury. "Listen to me. I don't care who it was. But if I find out someone in this circle betrayed me, it's over for you. Over, I'll cut you off so fast you'll wish you never met me." And just as the tension reached unbearable heights, Drake's phone rang. An unknown number flashed across the screen. The room went dead quiet as he picked it up. A distorted voice came through the line. "Mr. Graham, hope you enjoyed your stay last night. That 50 grand? Consider it a down payment. We're not done with you." The call ended before Drake could respond. His hands shook as he lowered the phone. The room looked at him in shock. This wasn't just humiliation anymore. This was a threat, and Drake knew deep down he was in way deeper than he thought. But little did he know, the nightmare had only just begun. Because the next move by Kendrick's fans, maybe even someone closer than he realized, was going to push Drake too. The edge like never before. The room sat frozen after that chilling phone call. Every eye on Drake as he slowly set the phone down on the table. His breathing was heavy, his jaw clenched tight. For once, the man who always had the perfect comeback, the witty response, the calm swagger looked shaken. "They're playing games with me," he muttered under his breath, his voice trembling with anger and something darker, something closer to fear. His crew exchanged uneasy glances. Chubbs was the first to break the silence. "Bro, that voice?" They knew exactly what they were saying. It ain't random. They got a plan, okay? Drake's assistant chimed in, his voice shaky. "If they can hit us with a fake deposit, what else? Can they do? Maybe they got access to more. Your accounts, your info." Drake whipped his head around, his eyes blazing. "Nah, no way. I got people who handle that. They can't touch me like that." But the uncertainty in his tone betrayed him, and then, as if on cue, his phone buzzed again, this time with a notification from his bank app. Drake's hand hovered over the screen for a moment before opening it. His face went pale. Thousands were missing. Not 50,000, this time closer to 500,000. He dropped the phone onto the couch like it had burned him. Nah, this can't be real. The crew rushed over, staring at the screen in disbelief. Transaction after transaction, all funneled into untraceable accounts. Chubbs swore under his breath. They cleaned you out, bro. They played you. The tension in the room spiked to unbearable levels. Voices rose, panic spread, accusations. Flew, one of the younger guys yelled, "I told y'all it's someone on the inside." How else would they know his banking info? Another snapped back. "Don't start pointing fingers without proof." But the damage was done. The paranoia had poisoned the room. Drake slammed his fists onto the table. "I swear, if I find out someone in this room sold me out, it's over. They'll never eat off my name again." His voice shook the walls, raw and venomous. Meanwhile, outside, the world was watching. Fans were eating up every new headline, every viral clip. Some were laughing, others were shocked. Twitter was on fire with theories. Kendrick fans out here scamming Drake like it's a video game. One tweet read. Another said this is more entertaining than a whole season of reality TV. Even celebrities started chiming in, some throwing shade, others offering half-hearted support. And then came the ultimate twist, the kind of betrayal that made the drama explode to a whole new level. Later that night, as the crew tried to regroup, a video surfaced online. It wasn't from paparazzi. It wasn't from a random fan. It was recorded inside Drake's own suite, showing him pacing, yelling about the scam, and accusing his team of betrayal. The angle was clear. It had to be filmed by someone in the room. Drake's blood boiled as he watched it. Who did this? Who filmed me? His voice thundered, echoing off the walls. The crew looked around at each other, wide-eyed, terrified. But nobody spoke. The video spread like wildfire, with captions like, "Drake, losing it after Kendrick fans win again, and he don't trust his own boys." Fans dissected every second, analyzing who might have leaked it, slowing down frames to catch reflections in mirrors. Theories ran wild. Drake sat down heavily on the couch, his head in his hands. This ain't just beef no more. This is a full-on attack on me. They trying to ruin my image, ruin my career, everything I built. Chubbs knelt beside him. And you gotta fight back. Not with bars, not with tracks. Gotta show them they can't break you. But Drake wasn't sure. First time in his career, he felt cornered. Everywhere he turned, someone was watching, someone was plotting. And the worst part, he couldn't even trust the people closest to him. Later that night, as the house grew quiet, Drake sat alone in the living room, staring at the city lights. The words from the mysterious caller echoed in his head. "We're not done with you." He knew they meant it. He knew something bigger was coming, and he was right. Because just as he began to drift into restless thoughts, his phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. He hesitated, his hand trembling as he picked it up. A familiar, distorted voice came through. "Mr. Graham, consider this round 2. Check your car." Drake's heart dropped. He rushed to the window, pulling back the curtain. Down on the street, his black SUV, the same one that had carried him away from the hotel, was surrounded. A mob of Kendrick fans stood around it, chanting, filming, and spray painting insults across the side of the vehicle. Words like "fake," "Kendrick won," and "BOOED" covered the shiny black paint. One fan even climbed onto the hood, waving a sign that read, "Stay out our city." Drake's chest tightened, his pride shattered all over again. "They got me trapped," he whispered. His crew scrambled, trying to figure out how the fans even knew where he was hiding. But the answer was clear. Someone had tipped them off. Emotions boiled over once more. One of the assistants broke down, shouting through tears, "I swear it wasn't me. Stop looking at me like that." But Drake's stare was ice cold. Somebody's lying. And when I find out who, it's done. The night ended in chaos. Crew couldn't leave the house because of the mob outside. Fans live-streamed the entire scene, turning Drake's private meltdown into a public circus. The chants, the laughter, the insults, it all reached his ears as he sat in silence. Staring at the floor as dawn broke, the mob eventually dispersed, but the damage was irreversible. Pictures of his vandalized car were all over the internet. Headlines screamed, "Kendrick fans terrorized Drake's SUV." Memes flooded social media, mocking him, turning his humiliation into entertainment. Drake hadn't just lost control of the narrative, he'd lost control of his entire world. His money, his trust, his image, it was all slipping through his fingers. But what he didn't realize was that the biggest betrayal was still waiting. It's closer than he could ever imagine. Because someone in that very house, someone who claimed to be family, was about to pull the rug from under him in a way that would leave him completely broken. And when the truth finally came out, it wouldn't just be Drake's pride on the line, it would be his entire legacy. The morning after the chaos with the vandalized SUV, the house was silent, but it wasn't peaceful. It was the kind of silence that comes after a storm when everyone's waiting for the next bolt of lightning to strike. Drake sat at the kitchen table, sunglasses on, even though the curtains were drawn. He hadn't slept. His phone was buzzing, nonstop, with missed calls from his management, from reporters, from family, but he ignored them all. His focus was on one thing: finding out who had betrayed him. His crew tiptoed around the room, afraid to say anything that might set him off. The tension was suffocating. Then, without warning, Drake spoke. His voice low but sharp. "Last night, somebody filmed me in my own suite. Somebody leaked my spot to those fans. And somebody out here is eating off my humiliation. I want to know. Who?" Nobody answered. The only sound was the buzzing of his phone. Finally, Chubbs tried to cut the tension. "Look, man, we don't know who it is yet, but we'll find out. We always do." Drake lifted his head slowly, his sunglasses hiding his eyes. "Nah, I already know." The room froze. Drake stood up, walked across the kitchen, and stopped in front of one of his assistants, the youngest. The one who had been stammering and defending himself the night before. "It's you," Drake said quietly, almost like a whisper. The assistant's eyes went wide. "What? No, bro. I swear on everything. It's not me." His voice cracked with panic. "You think I do like that after everything you've done for me?" But Drake wasn't buying it. He pulled out his phone and tossed it onto the table. "That DM we got? The one saying someone booked my suite under my name. I checked. The reservation came from your email." The assistant froze, his mouth opening and closing, but no words coming out. The rest of the crew looked on in shock, some gasping, others muttering under their breath. One even whispered, "Yo, no way. Can't believe this." Tears welled up in the assistant's eyes as he tried to explain. "Wasn't like that. I swear. They came to me. They said if I didn't give them something, they'd come after my family. I didn't know it was going to go this far." Drake's face twisted with disgust. "So you've sold me out. You let them boo me, scam me, film me, trash my Carl because you were too scared to stand up." The assistant dropped to his knees, sobbing. "Please, man, I didn't mean for it to blow up like this. I promised it would just be a prank, just some fans messing around. I didn't know they were going to take your money. I didn't know." But Drake cut him off, his voice cold as ice. "Nah, you knew enough. And you still chose them over me." The room was dead silent, everyone watching as Drake turned his back. The assistant crawled forward, grabbing Drake's leg, begging. "Please don't cut me off, don't throw me away. Got nowhere else to go." Drake pulled his leg away, his voice sharp, final. "You had a choice, and you made it. We're done." The assistant broke down screaming, but nobody moved to help him. The rest of the crew stood in silence, their loyalty clear. He had betrayed the family, and there was no coming back from that. Security was called, and within minutes the assistant was dragged out of the house, still crying, still begging for forgiveness. As the door slammed shut, Drake sank back into his chair, his head in his hands. The weight of the betrayal hit him. Harder than the booze, harder than the scam, harder than the vandalism. This wasn't just fans trying to humiliate him. This was someone he trusted, someone he fed, someone he called family.ch. UBBs placed a hand on his shoulder. "Bro, I know it hurts, but you did what you had to do." He crossed the line. Drake didn't answer. He just stared at the floor, his mind spinning. Everything he'd built, everything he stood for, it suddenly felt fragile. If one person could betray him, what about the rest? How many others were waiting for their chance? And then, as if the universe wanted to twist the knife even deeper, Drake's phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. With shaking hands, he answered. Same distorted voice came through. "Congratulations, Mr. Graham. You found your rat. But the game ain't over. Not by a long shot. Long shot." The call ended. Drake sat frozen, his knuckles white around the phone. The betrayal was over, but the word WASN single quotes teed out outside. The world kept laughing. Memes of the assistant crying surfaced within hours. Fans speculated about what really went down. Some said Drake was weak for letting his circle crumble. Others said Kendrick's fans had pulled off the ultimate victory. But inside that house, Drake wasn't laughing. He was planning, plotting. His humiliation had reached its peak. But deep down, he knew he couldn't let it end this way. Couldn't. Let the booze, the scam, the betrayal be the final chapter. As the sun set over the city, Drake stood at the window, looking out at the skyline. "They think they broke me," he muttered, almost to himself. "But I'm still here, and I promise you, this ain't the end." His words hung heavy in the air. A vow to himself, a promise to the world. The drama wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Because if Kendrick's fans thought they had seen the last of Drake, they were wrong. The war had just begun, and that, right there, is where the story leaves us. From being booed out of a hotel lobby by furious Kendrick fans, to getting scammed out of 50 grand and then $500,000, to watching his own SUV get trashed in front of the whole world, and finally uncovering betrayal within his own circle. Drake's nightmare feels like it's straight out of a reality TV show. Fans are shocked, emotions ran high, and the family he thought was unbreakable was left divided and exposed. The big question now is, what happens next? Does Drake strike back harder than ever, proving he can't be broken? Or do the hits keep coming, with Kendrick's fans plotting their next move? And let's not forget that haunting phone call, the promise that the game ain't over. Who's really pulling the strings here? Was it just a group of wild fans? Or is there something deeper, something even Drake hasn't realized yet? This saga is far from over, and we can all feel it. So now it's your turn to weigh in. Do you think Drake deserved what went down? Or did Kendrick's fans cross the line by taking it this far? Was the betrayal from inside his camp unavoidable? Or should Drake have seen it coming? I want to hear your thoughts. Drop your comments below and let's get this debate going. And if you love diving into all the wild twists, betrayals, and drama, make sure you hit that like button. It lets us know you're here for the truth behind the chaos. Subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter in this explosive feud. Because if this much happened in just one night, imagine what's coming next. And don't forget to share this video with your friends, because trust me, everyone's going to be talking about this. Stay tuned, stay locked in, and let's see where this storm takes Drake next.